Hey guys, we're going to start talking about text-based programming. So this is programming by hand, by typing in commands and things like that. It's going to be very different from what you're used to with drag and drop programming languages or programming systems like Scratch or Game Maker. But it'll be just as fun, even more fun, because you can go up to the next level and become more advanced in terms of programming. And this will hopefully lead to other types of programming languages, because once you learn one, it is easy to learn the syntax of another more powerful language later on. We're going to be starting off with Python, and that's what we're going to end off with as well. We're going to be learning Python. That happens to be one of the more popular languages to learn. And it's popular because it is by far the easiest to learn for beginners, which is why I love teaching Python, because you can really create a program pretty quickly compared to all the other ones, which takes a little bit more time to massage and make it work. Um, so for many different reasons that I'll share with you. So you can see here, I've shown you a list here of different programming languages. Number one is Python in terms of popularity, and that just means people search for Python tutorials quite a lot. And so because it's popular, you'll find lots of help online, including video tutorials or tutorials on websites. Second is Java. Java is quite well used for mobile or for things like your infotainment system in your car. JavaScript is the language of the web. A lot of the interactive web apps that you have that you use, like Gmail, for instance, all those different effects and all those different things to do with populating the data or grabbing your contacts and dragging and dropping, that's all JavaScript. C Sharp, I've used C Sharp a little bit for Unity game programming. They use C Sharp. Down here, you'll see C++. By far, C++ is the most used in terms of if you want to go into game programming, or a lot of other types of programming as well. C++ is the language to learn, but it is a little bit more difficult to learn, which is why I don't teach it at the high school level. So if you go into computer science or computer engineering, you'll probably need to learn C++. Let's talk about Python. So these are some of the companies that actually still use Python and use it well. I know Dropbox for sure. Their whole Dropbox is like a Google Drive type of program which synchronizes your files for you. I still use it. It's terrific. It works really well, smoothly, and it's never failed on me. Whereas Google Drive has on occasion. But they use Python in order to do all their programming. And you can see all these other companies that also use Python, including Netflix and the US NSA, the NASA, BitTorrent, YouTube, Google. So it's quite well used. In fact, I went to Electronic Arts a few times on field trips with students, and they've told me that even though they do all the game programming in C++, they also use Python because it's a very quick language to pick up, so they can give it to somebody to really quickly create a tool without using up too much time. So it's quick to pick up and create a small application really quickly. Here are some advantages and disadvantages. Like I said, in terms of productivity, it's great. All of these make it easier to learn. The disadvantage, and there's always a trade-off with these things, because it's easier to learn, but it's not as optimizable like C++ is, which is why they use it for game programming. Because when you're designing a huge memory intensive game, you want to try to optimize your code. You want to make it so that it runs really quickly. And you can't do that as well with Python. To get Python, normally you would go to python.org and go to download and download it. Mac actually comes with an earlier version of Python, but if you want the latest version, you still have to download it here. Windows as well. And when you get Python, then you can run it through your terminal or your command prompt on Windows, or you can use any sort of program like Visual Studio or something like that to run it. So we're not going to do that because we're distance learning. So we're going to use something called Replit. So this is Replit. I've given you a link to Replit on your Google Classroom. So when you go to Replit, you can actually log in and we can actually work as a class. So I will see your code and then makes it a lot easier for you to share and for me to check your stuff. So to actually use this, you're just going to click on New Replit. So look around for that New Repla button. And once you click on that, yes, you can do HTML in here as well and host your website in here, which is great. You can see all these other languages that it supports, but at the very top, we've got my favorite here, Python. If you don't find it at the very top, then you're looking for Python somewhere in your list here. Okay, but it's just the Python. It's not the other ones, Python 2.7. We're going to use Python 3, so that's not it. It's not Python with Turtle, Pygame. We're just going to use Python. So click on that, and then you give it some sort of name. So let's call this Hello World. And we'll click on Create Repla. And that brings us into this interface. On the left in Replit, you see the file. This one's called main.py. You can typically call the Python file whatever you want, as long as it says .py. And then you can type in your code and it'll run. Okay, so that's basically how you get into Python. In the next video, I'm going to show you some basic code.